So we were stumping for them for a while now. Um, but Greg Tepper and the gang, they finally did listen to us and put La Vega into the state poll at number 10 this week. So obviously there is some pretty stout competition in Class 4A Division 2 around the state. I think Carthage is number 1. You got teams like West Orange-Stark and Bellville in La Vega's region that are ranked higher than the Pirates. But we've mentioned that they're capable. What does a path to Jerryworld look like for La Vega?
Without breaking down the bracket too much, I'm sure if somebody was really got into the nitty gritty of it, they could probably figure out what the bracket was going to look like at this point, or a lot of it, right? But honestly, like something that Don Hyde said to me after the China Spring game really rings true with this question about their path, because he said, I don't care if it's Carthage or West Orange Stark or Salina or who we're playing, because I mean they played two of those three teams, right? But anyway, the point is, he said, I don't care about the who, I care about the how, and he was talking about how his team plays, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was a good line, and it rings true. So if La Vega keeps playing better, if their big old offensive line can get a little bit meaner and nastier. And that's the thing about offensive line play is you got to be super aggressive, but you also got to do things like not jump, not have pre-snap stuff, right? So, uh, so there's an art to playing offensive line, right? To
Yeah.
doing things on time, but also to be like kind of a little bit mean and nasty and a little bit crazy, I guess. Anyway, so if they can kind of find that fine line and be really aggressive up front on offense, and because if they can run the ball, they're really scary because they can throw the ball pretty well too.
Yeah, DJ, you've seen them at least a couple times, right? And I think you've seen them win games different ways, like with the running game and with the passing game. I mean, what do you think it takes for La Vega to get there?
I mean, I feel like I agree with Chad in that they are going to have to play a little bit meaner.
Mm,
Um, in the Gatesville game, which was where they had to lean more on the passing game. They I feel like if the O-line had been a little bit tougher in that game, a little bit more aggressive up front, they probably wouldn't have been
quite as close.
yeah, quite as close. And even at the end, they were able to take off a little bit because they were a little bit tougher.
Mm.
And obviously Gatesville wasn't as coordinated and as well put together in their passing game. So, and then obviously when they played Robinson, I mean, we thought that was going to be a lot closer than it was. Uh, but they kind of really put everything together in that game. So if they played the way that they played in those games and continue to get better, I do agree with Chad. It's hard to beat the same team twice. So if they end up facing up against like a West Orange Stark again, like
They
they're
might have an
probably,
advantage there.
yeah, they'll have an advantage. They'll be a different team this time around in the playoffs. And who knows, we might end up if Robinson gets, all of their pieces together and starts, playing a little bit more like the Robinson that played against Glen Rose, and some of these other teams that they beat really well and really convincingly, then we could also have a District 12 rematch later
Mm-hmm.
on. So um,
Mm-hmm.
I
You
think,
mentioned that Robinson game. That was the game after when I talked to Don Hyde, and he said he doesn't care about who, he cares about how,
yeah.
and he had really gotten after his team, which I'll mention later in the podcast as well. But yeah, I mean, I think he got their attention with that.
Yeah, no, the O-line was spectacular against
Mm-hmm.
Robinson. And I don't think Bryson Rowland has the game that he has without them, but also Bryson Rowland's just a scrappy, you know, you can't you have to learn how to tackle well if you're going to play against that kid because he will miss two or three. Like the first guy is never going to be the one to get him. So, um, and then obviously, like, defensively, they're also really solid. They have a lot of really good safeties, and a lot of really good like D linemen. Warren Richardson was incredible against Robinson. He was the one getting to the quarterback the majority of the time. So you got guys like him, you got guys like Amir Gibson, and Antoine Good in the secondary who are veterans and experienced, and they've got all the pieces. If they put them all together, they're gonna be, and don't get me started, special teams, they have a really consistent kicker.
Mm.
Like he's one of the most consistent kickers that you're going to see out of this 4A group in our area. So, um, like he punts really well, he kicks really well on, field goals and extra points. So, I mean, the Pirates are kind of got the recipe for success, and they just got to make
I kind of
mistakes.
think DJ is a connoisseur of kickers a little bit.
I
Like
interviewed quite a few.
you like soccer. Um, you mentioned special teams. The last time La Vega won state, in the state game, Dante Stewart took a kickback for a touchdown in the state game. Obviously, special teams can be huge. We know that to flip a game in your direction. You mentioned Warren Richardson. In terms of the totals I've seen, he may be our best pass rusher in the area. I think he's got about 7 or 8 sacks at this point. So yeah, I mean, it's gonna be fun to see how far La Vega can go.